What's up, Cloud Gamers? Welcome to CGX Cast. This is episode 36, and this is going to be a good one. We have a guest on our panel today. It's going to be pretty cool to hear what Clive has to say about just all the discussions of the cloud gaming topics that we're going to cover. Our panel is a little different. Mark is not going to be here, and Holt is not going to be here. But Ben just woke up. Put you on blast, Ben. Just woke up from his nap, so he should be joining us here shortly. But yeah, so much to talk about. If you guys haven't been following the cloud gaming news, Google Stadia had a solid week, I would say, with 10 indie games coming to the platform announced, and also 2 games dropping this week for the platform. Good stuff. We'll talk about that. GeForce Now give us 13 games, GFN Thursdays. We'll talk about that. Xcloud got GTA 5, which is incredible. Something people don't realize, that game actually was on that platform. Then it got removed. They put Red Dead Redemption 2. Now it's back. But we'll talk about that and see how big that is for cloud gaming as a whole. And then we have some deets on Shadow, so we'll briefly sprinkle that in the end. And Luna had some features included this week and a game that dropped, and we'll talk about Luna as well. So that's the discussion of the cloud gaming CGX 36 this week. But let me just take a sec to introduce the panel and just see what they've been playing, see what platform they've been using. Let's get into it. So to start, Duncan, what have you been playing, sir? What platform have you been using? And how are you?
I am outstanding as always, and I've been playing on a variety of platforms as part for the course. I've just played on GeForce Now today. I was playing some Trying 4 on GFN. I didn't even know I had that game. It must have came from a Humble Bundle or something. So I was giving that a wee word. I was playing some Zombie Army 4, and I've been playing some F1 2020 on Stadia as well. Oh, hell monkeys. He's picked up about that, and I'm in there practicing for next weekend. So I need all the practice I'm going to get because I'm going to be finishing last.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. It's pretty cool to see people still playing F1. So awesome, awesome stuff. How about you, Jerry? What have you been up to? What platform have you been playing? Also, what game?
So it's been busy, so it's been difficult. But every chance I get to just game for a little bit, it's pretty much Outriders. That's going to be through Xbox, Game Pass, so a lot of Series X and Xcloud for that. The only thing I have that runs Xcloud is the NVIDIA Shield TV Pro because we lost our PC access. I don't know if anybody's going to talk about that
Well,
today,
yeah,
but
we'll
I'm getting
cover
bombarded
that.
by messages about that one. But yeah, so I've been playing it there also, and surprisingly, SpongeBob was free on Stadia. So they hit a nerve with me. I had to start playing SpongeBob on Stadia. I just, when I get a few minutes, I jump in. It's actually a good game. I played it on Epic on PC when it came out, and I don't know. I was really happy when they gave that away for Pro, so I've been playing that on there. It's a great game for Stadia. It plays great.
Yeah, people are really sleeping on that game. I mean,
Don't sleep on SpongeBob. I said
it's
it
good
before.
stuff. Yeah,
I played it
that's
just to
fair.
test it out for a few minutes the other day, and it was just I ended up playing for like 3 hours.
Yeah, it's really fun. And it's a game I think Stadia really needs too, because again, the Ratchet and Clanks are not on Stadia, right? The Jack and Dexter or who else? Mario, if you want to go
Yeah.
as far as to call it that. So it's a good platformer for Stadia, for sure. Hell
Oh, by the way,
Monkey,
Ben
go
does
ahead.
not look like he just woke up. He does not look like he just woke up.
The hair looks nice, Ben, I must say.
I was,
Okay. Oh, there he
yeah.
goes. There we go. All right.
No, I just woke up.
Straight in the shower.
That's awesome. How about you, Hell Monkey? What you been up to? What you been playing? What platform?
That's a bit. Well, guys, I finally managed to get into my PlayStation account so I could finally try PS Now this week.
Nice.
And so I missed a lot of PlayStation games over the years because I was out of that ecosystem. So I dove straight into The Last of Us today, and I'm playing through that all day today. And apart from that, playing some Stronghold Warlords on GFN. And yeah, outside of that, just doing stuff for the channel. So I've not had much, but today I put some time on The Last of Us, and I am thoroughly enjoying it.
Is that The Last of Us 1?
Yes, the first one, because
Okay.
I haven't had a PlayStation since the PlayStation 2, so I
Oof.
missed out
Wow.
on a lot of exclusive games from
Wow.
PlayStation. We jump into PS Now, and most of them are there for me, so it's great. It's brilliant.
That is so awesome. And there's an article, I don't know if you guys saw it, but it was stating that Sony's, working on an answer to Game Pass. But my thing with that is, man, imagine The Last of Us on PS Now, right? You're talking about like missing so many great IPs because the last console you had is the PS2, God of War. Imagine like if you can hop on PS Now, go back and catch up on those games, right? Make sure you
Yeah,
check out.
That's the
yeah, well,
advantage of a catalog, a back
yeah,
catalog, isn't it?
Right, right.
yeah. And it's the advantage of cloud as well, because I don't need to go out and spend money on hardware to play that game.
Yeah,
I've
so
got it.
true.
I've got it right there in
Yeah,
front of me.
right. Check out Horizon Zero Dawn because that's still on
It's on the
your.
list.
Okay,
It's on the list.
such a dope game. Yeah, cool. All right, Clive, we're saving the best for last. We'll get to your introduction, but just let's check in with Ben real quick. See what you've been up to, sir. How was that little nap, man?
It was good. My
Yeah.
daughter was sitting there watching all sorts of movies, including Jungle Book, and I just
Good
slept through
stuff.
most of it.
Good stuff. Cool. How have you been? What have you been playing? What platform?
Oh, I finally got to dig in some real time into Outriders last night and played it for like probably 8 hours yesterday.
Whoa.
I ended up having too much fun and couldn't quit. But yeah, I also played what's it called? Trover Saves the Universe on GeForce Now
Ooh, good stuff.
by the creators of Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
It's a fun
I
game.
heard about that. Yeah. Good. That's awesome. Good to have you on, Ben. All right.
Thanks.
So, yeah. The guest of the show is Clive Illenden. I hope I'm not butchering your name, but
That'll do.
cool. But yeah, I follow your stuff, man. Your Monday night Stadia shows, great stuff. We were just talking about it earlier today, and man, the amount of work that you put in to that show is very professional, man. And kudos to you. Kudos to you.
I'm slightly sadistic, I think. We were saying, like, effort in, effort results out. It's just like,
Yeah.
am I mad here?
But yeah,
There you
man,
go.
good to have you. So let the member viewers know what you've been playing, what platform have
Yeah.
you been using.
Outriders on Stadia. It's a game that has some simple. I think it's well made in its structure in terms of it. It's just got simple pleasures. It's the pew pew pew, a storyline to follow. A bit like Division 2, they give you a line to follow if you get lost. I'm a great fan of single campaign games, and it's got that real. And I really loved Gears 5. When that came out, and just played it through, I became intrigued with the story. I wanted to know what happened next. I wanted to understand what was going on, and I just followed that through. And not just the game mechanics, but the way the story is structured is similar. You become attached to the characters. I'm a great one for narrative and story. But one thing I really did feel about Outriders is it really uses the different environments really well. And it gives you, I've had a World War I trench battle warfare scenario. I've had desert warfare scenario. There's jungle warfare scenario. There's a sort of Endor forests sort of warfare scenario. There's Hacienda Mexican sort of Tatooine village warfares. There's abandoned temple warfare. There's like every different kind of environment, and
Wow.
and then the guns just get bigger, which is that kind of simplistic pleasure. So it's just really, and I've just been drawn into it. And despite all the issues with it and the stuttering that we've had, and sometimes the servers kicking people out, I've been fortunate that I've had long sessions on it and just got drawn into it, and that's all on Stadia. And in a way, it's one of those things I don't really want the story to end a bit. I feel like I'm getting there, and I don't really want it to end, because by the time it's end, they'll get all the patches done, and then I won't want to go back and do it all again because some of those bosses are a bit crazy. But when you are kicked out of the servers for whatever reason, SpongeBob, because the other style of game is, Mario. It's got all those Mario 64 stylings to it that make that every platform game is sort of, has sort of honored, as it were, in its style and the structure and stuff like that. So don't sleep on SpongeBob, as you say. It's got, instead of collecting stars, you're collecting golden flippers, frying pan flipper things, and all those things. And it's great, and some real good puzzles in there. I do love a good puzzle platform game. So those are the two main things, all on Stadia, I've been playing this week.
That's awesome. So talk to me about the story. I am so envious of people who are putting time into Outriders, because that's one game that I really want to play, but for some reason I just keep getting distracted, and I've only put in an hour and a half. So when people are like, oh, it's so good, and I've been that, I'm like, I gotta get back to it. But talk to me about the story, because it seems like it's something that you enjoy. So I'm hearing mixed reactions with the story. Some people are like, oh, it's good. I was listening to Chase, and he was saying he was enjoying the story. Where do you fall with the story?
I think I think the further you get into it, I think initially it's quite generic. I would say, not sort of so okay, it's interesting enough. But I think as you get into it, and you have an opportunity to, I think there's a long period of time when you haven't really met the sort of the main characters, as it were, of the group. There becomes a group of them, but it takes a while for that group to consolidate and congregate together and sort of become a group. There's some sort of, initially there's some tension in there, and one's a prisoner and one's not, and things like that, and then they become a group, and you start to have empathy with them, but it takes quite a while.
You have to hit at least level 10 before the story kind of kicks off.
That's
to get to that usually stage. Where you start getting to it.
Good stuff.
But I think once you have that empathy with the characters, it gets you've got the simple pleasure of just shooting at things, and in a really cool mechanic way. I think the guns are great, the explosions, the powers, it makes you feel empowered. That's what a game, like an action game, needs to make you feel empowered when you pull off a move or something like that. And it does that. People Must Fly do that really well. They do the gunplay stuff really well. But if you grind enough through, get to enough kind of level through the story, and you get the empathy with the characters, that, for me, that's where it starts kicking in. And it was a bit like that Gears 5 for me. I didn't really know the story before Gears 5.
Right.
But as that went through, you saw the relationships between the characters, kind of form. So when things happen to those characters, it, call me an old wuss, but it kind of impacts you a bit, like a good story should. So so you might not see it in the beginning, but you put the work in, I think you'll begin to see the narrative drive there.
There's also so many factions with their own backstories and everything, and you get kind of sucked into it. But I was having so much fun in the beginning, and the world tier was set to automatically adjust. And I just stopped having fun until I turned that back down to world tier 2 and just started shooting everything and having tons of fun just blowing through the game.
I've dropped it down. There was 2 bits, I think, during the whole thing. I've dropped it down just because I was thinking, no, I've done this 20 times. And, it's that old kind of a sign of insanity, repeating the same thing, hoping for a different outcome. And no, I'm dropping it down to story level just to get past this boss. And then it's going back up to the levels.
That's cool. And again, Square Enix is the maker of this game, and we know how well they do storytelling. So good to know.
Well, it was People Must Fly, and they did Bulletstorm, which I think has a good. I'm not that familiar with it, although I have. It has a good reputation as a sort of pew pew pew. A gunplay game. Lots of good gunplay, a lot of feedback, and feel good moments when you you're with the guns and all that kind of stuff. And that spirit is definitely in here,
for sure,
in the way the guns operate and the feeling you get.
For the hour and a half I played of the game, I can tell you the gameplay is solid, so solid, and so yeah, that motivates me to want to put in the time for sure. Cool. All right, so let's get into the discussion again. Clive, good to have you on here, and I'm so excited
Thank
to
you.
have your point of view with some of these cloud gaming topics, right? So let's get into Luna first. Some stuff happened with this platform this week. Again, 720p support. I'm thinking this is great for mobile if you're trying to use your data connection, right? We have a new login screen, if you want to call it, and I'll showcase that here in a bit. And then right before, Jerry, you did a video for this, which is kind of like a motorcycle game for Luna that released this week. So we'll talk to the panel, see how you guys feel about this news. Again, this is what the fifth consistent, maybe sixth at this rate, right? Consistent week of Luna game announcement and features, something added to the platform, right? So good stuff, but we'll get to the panel members. Just want to first take a sec. I see a lot of you guys are on here. Say what's up to the viewers. Your mama knows. What's up? Good to have you, Raven Anime. You're one of the first. Good to have you on here. I see some people. Chief, what's up? Jay, what's up? I see Hell Monkey in the chat. I see chat. EJ Games, good to see you on here. So we're trying to get you on here as a guest, and maybe one of these days we'll finalize things. But good to see you on here for sure. Turn my volume up. Okay, good to know. We'll do. We'll do. Cool. And then Happy and Cheryl's, good to see you on here. And for those other people I didn't say what's up to, thank you for watching. Thank you for viewing. Let's get into the show, right? Let's start with Luna again. 720p support, new login screen, which I'll showcase here in a bit, and right forward comment. Let's talk to Duncan first. What's your take on this news for Luna for this week? Yeah,
I was just trying to take a sneaky drink there. I think this is another. This is them just ticking over still. Continue to add stuff during their beta. Look, they're just trolling me now, going for their drinks here. Look at them two at the end. Just sort of there trolling. I think it's pretty good that they are doing this, and I think this What's New screen is what we've been asking for other platforms as well, just to see what, because you're going to put in notes about what's going on and things like that. The 720p, great to see for mobile gamers, and the Ride 4 again, another clever wee pickup by them, and I think this needs to be a worth pointing out as well. This is above the games they have already announced, which is coming to the service this month, because if there was a blog post, was it last week, announcing them couple of games coming. So again, Luna is ticking over well in its beta form. Needs to come over here, I'll say it for Mark, and the sooner it does, the better. But again, I just like the way it's shaping up there.
Yeah. You're right. It'll be nice for other platformers to have this login screen, right? So when you come on, you can know what's new. It's pretty cool, and Luna's, I would say, is one of the first to do it. So kudos to them for sure. How about you, Ben? What's your take on the Luna news for this week?
Honestly, this is the first time I've seen it. 720p is awesome. I think everybody should have that just for the mobile experience. Never heard of Ride 4, but judging by the screenshots right there you're showing, that looks like it could be fun.
Yep. Haven't tried it, but I did watch Jerry's vid on it. So Jerry, let us know, how was the experience covering this game? Did you like it?
Yeah. So this game's not that old, as you can see, as you have pulled up over there for Ride 4. Is this October of last year, and there's a pretty decent following for this game. And as Duncan mentions all the time, they're doing a really good job of getting specific games over that they feel like are going to fill voids or speak to certain players. And just like you see with F1 2020 and those type of games, these are great for community events, having race competitions and things like that. So it was good. I mentioned in the video the bitrate feels a little bit soft. The 1080p wasn't as crisp as I wanted it to see. That's happened sometimes on Luna, but what they're doing, especially with the Luna Plus channel being specific ports for that, they want to make sure that, especially in a fast-paced game like that, you don't get stutters, you don't get hang-ups, you don't get, because one of those in a turn and you're going to be absolutely done. So I had none of that. The game ran great. The controller worked great. I had no latency that I could tell, and no stutters, no problems. It's just a little bit softer than I wanted it to be, but the game ran great.
So you mentioned community play, and that brings me to, I'm sure you guys are aware of where I'm going next with this, right? This is a Luna Plus channel game, and online, as I'm looking here trying to find online, not seen online. So I'm assuming that this game is not online. So what's just
It's the same problem with Sonic Racing and
Yeah.
with this game.
Mhm.
I'm really feeling like the online is just something they're not ready to push out in the beta form yet, but it's going to be there. I still think it'll be there in time for the August 31st release of New World, because they're going to have a multiplayer structure working
Right.
for the Luna Plus channel to run that game, that exclusive on Luna. You know it's going to be there.
Right.
So I think they're just, as everything else, they're kind of slowly getting there, and I do miss it. I wanted to play Sonic Racing online and wasn't able to do it. So it is frustrating, but I am trying to give some leadway there, and it's got to come eventually. So I'm just waiting to see what they do with that.
Just remember, there is a multiplayer game on Luna Plus.
Which one is it?
The baseball game, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is multiplayer, I do believe. Mega
Where
Baseball.
is that bad boy? Where is all right? Well, let's.
All the Ubisoft games have their multiplayer, but that's
Yeah.
a completely separate situation from
Right.
the Luna Plus channel. So they're gonna get it there.
Yeah, I've said this before about the multiplayer. I think it's not on purpose. I think they're trying to limit it as much as possible so you don't get to situations where there's no lobbies, and then you get that bad sort of press out there that you can't find multiplayer games. And we know
how many people could be playing it right now, right? In early access just in the United States, you could definitely have problems getting a match or something. Definitely. No press is better than bad press.
Okay. Again, you guys are still giving them the beta pass here, right? In time.
I'm holding that until New World. Like if August 31st comes, and we're not in a different situation for that release, then that's going to get a little bit more. You're going to hear something different from me.
So
on that, but
how about this, right? How about come August 31st, New World comes out and it's not on Luna? What would you say then?
I would say they've messed up.
Yeah.
I would definitely. That's gonna talk about a lost opportunity. It wouldn't destroy Luna. The service is shaping up well, just as we're talking about. They're slow baking it. It has huge potential. The business model has huge potential. But I think a game like New World that has been delayed and that does have the hype kind of needs to tie to Luna, and it needs to happen at launch to propel both.
Yeah. So, I'll say my piece here in a bit, but let's check in with other members. Clive, what's your take on this Luna new 720p, new login screen, and also this new Ride 4 game coming to the platform?
So 720p, I think, is an acknowledgement that, if you're creating a cloud service, it's all right reaching for the stars and trying to deliver 4K and all that. But most people, would be happier with a game that plays well, especially if they're playing on a mobile phone and aren't obsessed with necessarily it being 4K. So it's easier to offer the option downwards and you'll get greater benefit from it than trying to offer the option upwards, as it were, in terms of offering 4K. That's a harder mountain to climb with maybe less results, as it were. But it's easier just to say, also, we'll give you the option of dropping down below, especially if people are playing on mobile phone where, hey, it's good enough for Xcloud, it's good enough for, Luna. So I think that's a great thing, an acknowledgement that, what we're building here is for the future, but we have to make it work on the average present, as it were, in terms of how people consume and the average, internet speeds and all that kind of stuff. And, it's something that you see with GeForce that, they'll fluctuate and concentrate on the sort of the frames per second and rather drop the quality, and so you can maintain that kind of frames per second quality. So it's that kind of recognizing how people play, and they don't want interruptions and stuff. So I think that's a good thing, and it's good to see on that. I must admit, with Luna, from what I've seen, because obviously it would be nice if it was available here in Europe, I think they've got a really nice layout. I have to admit, the user interface looks really nice and clean.
Clive puts it up. Is that a search bar as well?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to. They
don't
did
need a
have
search bar, on Stadia,
but I'm trying to find it.
Say it, But yeah. But no, joking aside, it's a really nice. Yeah, they've obviously it looks like they've looked around. Let's just say they've looked around, okay, and they've put real thought into the layout. Plus, I think they've learned from having Amazon Prime and stuff like that. I think they've really there's obviously learnings gone in to the overall user experience, and it I mean, just from these pictures, it looks really neat and tidy and nice and accessible. So yeah, I mean, hats off to them. They clearly look around and see how other people do it. I like the way Xbox do their sort of layouts now. They've improved a lot. You see these things constantly evolving, so I think that's really cool. And Ride, am I right? Apart from Sonic Racing, there's Grid though, isn't there? I've noticed in terms of racing games.
Yeah, let's get to the...
I get I get that there's no online multiplayer bit for the reasons people have said. It's it's clearly going to have a small user base because it's limited anyway. That's the nature of it, and so. But you'd think, you think that it's ready and it's there and it works. They've just chosen, perhaps wisely, not to switch it on, and you can hide behind the fact that it's the beta for that purpose. But it's absolutely a prerequisite. Come, kind of going up to the sign outside the door and removing the words beta. It definitely needs to be there. That's the sort of. No question about it. This is what gamers expect. I like playing single player games, but the amount of people going, that you see that are obsessed with playing online with other people, it's the de facto way of playing games nowadays. It's the norm. So it has to be there. So I can only assume it is just during the limited rollout, because it's not even. I mean, are they a mass roll? Are they still doing a sort of sending out invites every so often, or is it now fully open in the US?
It's fully open. It's just basically
if you have a Fire Stick, you have to have a Fire Stick to be in.
Yeah, but that's still, even though it's America, it's still quite limited given global gaming. So you can understand why the multiplayer's not switched on. But but it's good to see another, as you say, a racing game on there, because. As you say, people love a racing game.
You know what? One of the biggest things I appreciate about Luna.
What?
When I'm looking at the library, the thumbnails load instantly, and I don't have to wait 5 minutes for them to load on my Chromecast.
So it's quite interesting that you said that, and that was my biggest gripe. So I have Amazon Prime, and I swear it runs like a dinosaur. I don't know if it's me and I was really concerned that Luna would be as slow, but I have to say, you guys see me switching from pages to pages is very fluid, and they did a really good job. I really like the way this operates and feels.
Yeah, it's a nice look. I think it's very clean, and I like it.
Do you know what the best thing I've seen from Luna? I think it was Jerry's video. Is switching between screens. You don't have to switch off and reconnect your controller all the time.
Yeah.
That looks like a big Brucey bonus, by the way. I cannot wait to try
that. I agree. I think
only you and Clive get that joke.
Yeah. I agree. What I must admit, I love that. From what I've seen of Luna, the fact that you're sort of instantly connected with your controller, like, and then it does, and then it's independent of the screen you're playing on, sort of thing. And it's just that makes it, the old sort of Stadia pitch was being able to jump from screen to screen, which is brilliant. It's a brilliant concept. I love it. And Luna have clearly gone, yeah, that is a great concept. Yeah. How can we make that even smoother? And they've done a good job, because I get frustrated. Sometimes my controller, I think because my TV in Chromecast is literally not that far away, but my computer is here, and sometimes my controller doesn't link with when I'm trying to play in the browser, and I have to go and stand by my Wi-Fi, switch the controller off, turn it on so it picks up the 5 gigahertz signal, because I'm standing next to my Wi-Fi, and then come back over to the screen and everything's fine. And that can be a bit frustrating with Stadia. The Chromecast, I don't even have to put the thing in, just turn it on, and if I forget to put the code in, it just goes, yeah, you're in. And that's the sort of experience that you want. But when I'm on the browser, it's like, you have to put the code in, and it goes, no, don't recognize it, because I'm not connected, because the controller's not connecting with the Wi-Fi, because maybe I'm too far away from my Wi-Fi box, and I only need it to connect for that 1 second. Once you're in. But so I love the way that Luna do it. That, to me, that is real seamless screen to screen jumping. And I hope, I'd like to see Stadia adopt something that works in that way. Yeah, it's very clever what Luna are doing. I think I don't know how they do it, but
it's pretty impressive. And the
Stadia
fact that
needs to do it.
The fact that the fact that the controller is Bluetooth too, right? So again, you have that feature of like connecting on to like pretty much any screen without needing to add a code, and then you have that you can use it as a Bluetooth controller. I mean, that is pretty brilliant. So something I don't really like those right here. I don't know if you guys can see this, but it showcased like Twitch streamers, people who are streaming this game currently, but it's cool. Not like Luna though, so it's like, I get it, they're showcasing the game, but I think it would be cool if they put Luna plays on here. That way people can be like, oh, he's playing this game on Luna.
They probably have a filter, and there's probably not enough,
right? True.
Of people who are playing the game and streaming the game. So for the time being, it draws in the next best thing, which is somebody playing that same game. So if you've got a filter and then it sorts through, find this game and people playing it on Luna. Nope. Find this game, people playing it on any other platform. Yes. And then it feeds it through. But no, I see it's like as a placeholder. Their hope probably is that, they're building for the future, that in years to come, when they roll it out globally, there'll be enough people streaming the games. That's obviously the synchronicity between Twitch and Luna. Enough people streaming the games on that platform. In the same way, Stadia, I hope the same thing on YouTube. That there's that kind of crossover and connectivity. But for now, I think it's probably just a placeholder, as it were, and just pulls in the next best thing, which is at least somebody's playing the game, and it showcases that connectivity to Twitch, because they still win if somebody goes to Twitch. That's
true.
Amazon still benefit, don't they? So
true.
Can I just go jump in on this here and do what this is? It's on live. They did that 10 years ago.
Exactly. Yeah.
And they actually had their streams. I can see why they've maybe just evolved it slightly and put it onto Twitch, because when you went and watched, if you went into one of the games on live and no one was playing, there was nothing showing. So that's why they probably put the Twitch streams down. But absolutely brilliant. And it was called The Arena. You could just jump in and just watch people play. It was absolutely class. And you could jump in and actually play with them as well in some of the games.
Yeah.
Although on live, still the most advanced cloud surface going.
And the speed, I mean, like I don't play Luna a lot, and I keep telling myself I need to, but every time I come here, the speed of just watching these streams they have an impressive.
Well, they're going to have a pipeline straight to Twitch, aren't they?
Yeah.
Really? So.
Yeah.
You'd expect
Pretty
it
cool.
to. They're not going through a server. Like they're
That's true.
literally
That's
going
true.
straight down the line to the room next door.
It's true.
Yeah, and they've been updating their audio settings also in Luna. It used to be you could only have your mic attached to the controller. Now you could have another mic completely separate, like your Yeti, and your headphone going on. So they're setting up for direct
Streaming.
Yeah.
to Twitch from Luna. It's coming. Yeah.
That's cool. Cool. I think this is great news. Again, Amazon Luna's been consistent. This is the 5th to 6th week where we're getting game release on a weekly basis, and then news. I mean, the fact that they're announcing 720p coming just shows that they're slowly taking the series. They have a plan, they have a vision, and I think again, this year I keep saying it, man. Luna and Xcloud are going to, Sony might come again. There's an article saying they're working on something, but I'm just really excited to see what this platform ends up being in the end. But overall, I think they have something special here for sure. But someone was saying earlier, I do think they kind of cheated because in a way they waited to see what Stadia did right, did wrong, waited to see what GeForce Now did, and in a way they are just trying to take their time to not make those mistakes. But anyway, good stuff overall for sure. Anyone else have anything to say about the Luna news? If not, we can hop on to, I believe it's GeForce Now next. Anyone else? Cool. All right, so 13 games became available for GeForce. Well, was announced for GeForce Now this week. Coming to the platform. Those games are Aaron's Adventure, Earth Defense Force, Spin Trees. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. But then a lot of Strongholds. Stronghold Crusader, Stronghold 2, Stronghold HD, Strongholds Crusader 2, 3, Strongholds Kingdom, Strongholds Legend. My goodness. All right, it's Under Night and Birth. So I would say like 5 or 6 of these games were Stronghold games. So again, if you're not a Stronghold, go ahead, Duncan.
Trails of Cold Steel.
There is also a Proceed bonus game.
True.
The
Yeah.
Proceed bonus game of Hood is added as well, which wasn't in their blog post. It came out in a tweet afterwards. But just chucking that in there.
Yeah, thanks for that. And someone was mentioned Legend of Heroes Trials of Cold Steel 4 also came to this platform and Google Stadia as well. But I would say a decent week. I know you guys have heard me come here and give GeForce Now a lot of flack for the week releases. But I would say this is an okay week if you're a Stronghold fan, because again, I feel like the majority.
It's a great week if you're a Stronghold fan.
Yeah, like the majority of the games on here. I mean, I'm counting like 6. My goodness, they talk about like 13, but 6 of them all Stronghold games. But Aaron's Adventure, guys, if you guys don't know anything about that game, take a look at it. That game,
It looks fun.
It
Looks
does.
great, by the way.
It's like it feels like Valheim with like a Breath of the Wild type game into it. It looks good. I haven't tried it myself, but it looks good. And then of course you guys know about Legend of Heroes, which is a pretty decent game as well. But let's talk to the panel. What's your take on these 13 games coming to the GeForce Now platform for this week? To get started, let's check in with Jerry. What's your take on this?
Yeah. Anytime you can bring over like a whole franchise, even if it's not for everybody, that's good. And like we're saying, if you are a fan of Stronghold, it was a super great week for you for GeForce Now. One of those games is free to play. So one of those Stronghold is completely a free to play game if you want to be able to check it out and not have to spend any money. And then there's also an expansion for it that's like 70% off as well, because it seems like, at least from the blog we read, they actually lined up this sale to coincide with the franchise coming to GeForce Now and incentivize those purchases and people to play. So you've got all those 10-ish, 8, 9, however many million players on GeForce Now that could be interested in that, and adds another free to play with a great sale. So I thought it was pretty strong, and we continue to get day and date releases. The Aaron's Adventure seems to be getting some hype built up around it, and yeah, so no real complaints. I thought it was a pretty decent week. Nothing super great there for me. I was already playing Stronghold Warlords before. That's the newer. I think that's their newest release when it's out, which I think that's 7 for this week and 8 total. I think for GeForce Now for Stronghold titles.
My goodness. Wow. Okay. Yeah, haven't really gotten to Stronghold, but I'm glad again that this, some people like this game and they're getting the needs met for it. But let's check in with Clive. What's your take on these games coming to GeForce Now platform for this week?
Yeah, it's a nerd heaven there. Yeah, PC nerd heaven. Yeah, I say that jokingly. I'm a console guy, so the GeForce Now is real. It's for PC gamers. That's what it's for. And these are these are the games that you find on PC. It's good though to see things like Legend of Heroes on there, which I would sort of, it's that Nintendo-ish type Switch game that you might see, because it's a sort of Japanese role-playing game and that kind of thing. And say they're obviously doing a big push across different platforms, the fact it's on Stadia as well and things like that. So that's great to see. But that's the beauty, GeForce Now is that their target market is are the PC players, and they have the ability to, all they got to do is just do the deal with all the PC game publishers and developers and just get round, and then that's it. They don't really do anything else. They just do the deal and they go, yeah, there you are, and then they slip the disc in or whatever, download it onto the the hard drives, and off you go. That's it. And that's that's the beauty of GeForce Now for people who are into PC games. So I would expect to see this sort of amount of games on a regular basis, because it's a very straightforward process, and there tends to be a hell of a lot more PC games than there are what you might consider to be the sort of console variety games. So I'd expect to see a regular release that that GeForce do, because they're seeding that PC gamer market, and they're doing a very good job of it.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. I do think you're right on, and that's why we keep seeing. I mean, some people ask the question, right, when it comes to quantity, right? Again, GeForce Now on a weekly basis is pushing out anywhere between like 8 to 12, 15 games, right? And then you compare what other platforms doing, like Xcloud or even Google Stadia. And I think, Clive, you hit it right on. There's a lot of games on PC, right? So it's an easy thing to get a lot of games coming to GeForce Now on a weekly basis.
And I'm not sure it's curated, put it that way.
Yeah.
But because they don't have to. They have the luxury of not having that choice.
Mm-hmm.
They just shove the stuff on.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't necessarily call it shovelware, but the point is, if they can do the deal, they do the deal.
Yeah.
And it's on. Originally in its beta form, they just put it on anyway.
Yeah.
Now they've got to actually do a deal for it. But that's the only stopping the gate. That's the only gate between them getting a PC game on the platform, is them agreeing with the developer or publisher that they can have it on. And that's it. So, and as you say, there is much more PC games than there are console orientated games.
So, and I think then this makes sense with my frustration with this platform on a weekly basis, right? And I talk about I'm not too impressed with their weekly release. And, realistically, it might just be these games are just easier for them to like pull into the platform. I get it. There are gamers out there that might enjoy this game, but like, you look at what other platforms are pulling in, and to me, some of the members don't agree here, but I feel like there's more quality titles on other platforms than what GeForce Now is pulling in here. But again, that's just me speaking.
But I think they appeal to the to people who are
PC.
used to playing, building up their Steam library.
Yeah. This is perfect.
It does the job. It does the job.
Yeah.
They're not obviously the big games every so often that are multi-platform across all the platform, they do appeal to me. But I see my son is into PC gaming, and he'll, apart when he's not playing CS:GO, he will end up playing some obscure PC game that his mates recommended. He was playing some strange monkey balloon game, and I'm thinking, it's like a defense game, like a fort defense game, but with monkeys and balloons. And it's like, what the hell are you why are you wasting my gaming PC on a game that looks like a glorified Android game or something? But he was loving it. But that's the nature of
Yeah, I think GeForce Now knows the market, and
they do.
It's PC gamers, and they know what they're doing. It seems like they're doing it pretty well. Let's check in with you, Ben. What's your take on these games coming to the GeForce Now platform?
I mean, I'd never heard of Stronghold before this week, but apparently there's a big following. Keep in mind, before cloud gaming came back or came to existence in February of last year, whenever GFN came out of beta, that's when I started gaming after a 17-year break.
Okay.
So
enough.
I'd never heard of them because, why would I hear about a PC game that I missed during 17 years?
True.
But I find it interesting that Spin Tires is on there, yet it's retired from Steam, so you can only play it if you already own it.
Oh,
that is interesting. Do you think they've just gone to? They must have just gone to the developer directly, or whatever license Steam has come to an end, and it's an interesting one.
that is interesting. I didn't even catch that, but yeah,
You put it in your notes, and that's why I saw it.
No,
or Marchie for whoever built the notes.
Yeah, you
the
can't
link.
buy it anymore, but if you own it, you're good to go.
Yeah, you can. There's no link here to the Steam store as to where I can click these, but yeah.
If you look it up on Steam, it doesn't show up.
No, I might have to.
Okay, so if you'd already purchased it on Steam,
you can pull it up in your library on GFN.
Right, so it sticks in the library. I'm with you. Okay.
Good to know. Thanks for that, Ben, for sure. Duncan, what's your take on these games, man?
Okay, before what happened on Thursday with the Hood announcement, I knew what I was going to be saying here. I was absolutely disappointed with the game announcement. Stronghold series coming, brilliant news. Aaron's Adventure dead on, but with Hood actually coming, I think that game looks absolutely class, and I think it's either going to really take off or it's going to disappear quietly into the moonlight. I think it looks amazing.
What's the name of the game, Duncan? Sorry,
is that Outlaws and Legends thing?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It's coming day and date to GFN, and I think that looks just amazing. Oh yeah, you've seen it now. It's like, want some of that. That's my feelings on the games, but just to pick up on Ben's point, this is something that I've talked. Me and Hell Monkey were talking about this. The Spin Tires game. I think that is whatever it's called. I call it Spin Tires. I think that's an absolutely brilliant thing to say because that's preserving some of the gaming history out there. It may not be your game you want to play, but it's actually great to see that GFN is jumping on this bandwagon where they're trying to allow you to play these games which you can no longer play. A bit like Xbox are looking to maybe what's the word I'm looking for? Preserve the game so you can have access to all these, even if they're not available anymore. I was ready to give GFN some real stick today, and unfortunately, they pulled out Hood and they've saved themselves because that is on my list.
If they're going to add retired Steam games, I think a great option would be to add the Rocket League retired version, since you can't find it on Steam anymore, only Epic.
Epic is not going to let them do that, man.
Well, the reason I say that is because I have a buddy that owns it on Steam and hates Epic Games. Like, he just hates the platform, he hates the company, he just wants nothing to do with it. And Rocket League would just be one of those things. If they could pull it off, that would be a great one to try and do that with as well.
Yeah. I think Epic purchased Rocket League, right? So we know how they feel towards Steam. And so I think yeah, it's gonna be a tough one for them to try and pull off. But yeah, Hell Monkey, did we get to you in these games?
No, I'll just have a quick say then. No Epic games this week. Again, we're getting less and less as the weeks go on from GFN. Although I was personally happy with the Stronghold franchise because you could pick about 5 of them games up for less than 10 quid because of the sales. So it was a week for me, but I don't think it was a week that covered enough for everybody. It's great that a full franchises came over, but I don't think there was enough there to keep everyone happy. But listen, next week might be your week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear you in that. I don't like how, realistically speaking, how they target like one specific game. Like this was a Stronghold week. I don't like that, right? I mean, diversity of portfolio a little bit. 6, 7 Stronghold games.
Yeah,
man.
but you do the
It's a
deal.
lot.
You just say, can we have the lot? Don't you? If they're going to the developer and they're saying, we'd like to bring this game over, can we have the lot? And if they do a bulk deal for the whole sort of franchise, whole series, they're just going to then just lob it on, aren't they?
Yeah,
so that's
and
what's going to happen.
they done this a couple of weeks ago with Calypso Media when Space-Based Startopia was day and date, which only just arrived a couple of days ago. And they had sales on a couple of their other titles as well. So I think we might see more of this going forward. And I mean, if we see every couple of months a full franchise of games coming on, I don't think we can really complain, especially when you're getting something there you're getting a free title, you're getting a brand new free DLC with the latest game in the franchise, and then you're getting so many different sales. So as I say, you could pick up like 6 or 7 games there for like 10 quid.
I mean, true. I guess I see your point, but still.
Duncan, can I just
ahead.
on the hood is that released for May, 10th of May? Is that because I'm looking at the thing here? Is it? Yeah.
Yep. They actually tweeted that out on Thursday by themselves.
Okay. It was a tweet.
By the developers, and the publisher also retweeted it as well. So yes, it's all confirmed.
And in case anyone's wondering, that's an 18, by the way. So it's going to be a bit gory and a wee bit, maybe off-putting for some people. Just put that out there for everyone.
So
just a wee bit.
Duncan, describe this game, because when I was watching it, I didn't know anything about it, but I was like, man, this game seriously has potential, right? It's a multiplayer focused game, right? It has like Assassin's Creed type feel to it, and it has like Rainbow Six Siege with like missions objective, right? So you're trying to steal stuff, you're trying to like it.
It's got like it's an Overwatch.
Yeah.
Like in medieval times, isn't it? Like you're a team and you have ultimate powers and those kind of stuff, and yeah, you try, and then it plays conventional sort of, I imagine, sort of capture the flag. There's PvP, PvPe, whatever. And
it's on a nice price point as well. It's up to AA sort of one. It's like, if I remember right, it was like £25 sort of mark, £30 mark, or you can pick up the full game. I'll call it the game plus the season pass for the year for the £45. Which I think this game could be a sleeper and could just absolutely take off.
I can see this getting picked up by streamers.
Kind of like a Valheim situation where it just pops out of the blue and like everybody's addicted to it.
A couple of big streamers, playing a bit of PvP, Overwatch style on this, and like those things, it goes viral and big.
And you know what? I gotta say shout outs to GeForce Now, because they tend to pick these, I don't know how they do it, but they tend to get lucky with these hits, right? So again, you guys are right. This might be one of those.
Well, that's numbers, isn't it, though?
Yeah.
Like if you have enough games,
sure.
one of them
are
going to be a hit. Yeah, that's the name.
Yeah. I mean, it looks good. I'm not gonna lie. It looks really good. But yeah, so knowing that they get in this game, I think makes Stadias. But it wasn't announced though. With their Thursday blog, right? It was after it we found out. But yeah, this looks good. This looks good. Anyone else want to add to GeForce Now news for this week? If not, we're gonna move on to Google Stadia.
I just wish they'd come back to adding Epic games. I think that they're having struggles like on a legal aspect with them, because we haven't seen anything from Epic in like almost 2 months on GeForce Now.
We got
Is there-
one.
is-
We got one free-to-play game, Tales of the Neon Sea, last week.
Oh,
the week
that's
before. But that was it. You know, that's
I
nothing
couldn't
to
find that. When I looked for it,
shout
I
home about.
I saw the announcement, but when I tried to add it to my library, I couldn't get it for some reason.
Has there
It was
been a
only
pattern of this, babe? Sorry,
3
a pattern?
days or something. Sorry, Clive.
Sorry, I was just saying, has there been a pattern then of sort of Epic ever decreasing
Yeah,
Epic releases?
yeah, because they went through a phase they were getting quite a lot of the Epic free games was coming to GeForce Now, and then it just slowly but surely dwindled away, which is unfortunate. But I mean, there's enough free to play games already on GeForce Now. We must be approaching the 100 mark. Me and Duncan were speaking about this. They can't be far away from reaching 100 free to play games.
So Jay, I hear you in that, monkey. Let's take a look at this real quick. So Jay states GFN looks good on the surface till you take a deep dive, and there's a lot to consider with each aspect. Do y'all have an issue with the way GeForce Now performs? Do you guys have an issue with GeForce Now as a platform? I'm just gonna leave this up for anyone to just hop on, because realistically, I hear about this, right? Some people claim that they have a bad, terrible experience with the performance of GeForce Now, but I just want to check in with the members here. How is GeForce Now for you guys?
For me, ever since it came out of beta last year, where I'm at, which I tend to get lucky with all cloud gaming being on the East Coast of the United States, internet infrastructure is pretty decent. I'm usually within 1 to 3 hours of any data center that I'm connecting to. So for me, things work really well. What I will say, and what he's saying here with a lot to consider, what I talk about a lot is there is no cloud gaming service out there that's completely comparable to another one. They're all offering something so completely different that it's really important that everybody goes, tries all of them, looks deep at the library that's available. What kind of games do they like to play? How is the performance going to be for them? And cloud is really just getting started. So if you're interested in it, please don't just fall into just one and say, oh, I'm done, it didn't work good, or one worked well and you only try that. Go try all of them out and see what works good for you, because there is a lot to consider when you're going to get into cloud gaming.
I think Jerry hit it on the head there. You know, it serves a market. You know, people, the old, you know, and then when people, as you say, people compare it and they go, you know, the thing with Stadia is you can't even buy the games you've got on Steam, and it's like, well, you don't get it, do you? Like, that's what GeForce Now is for. Yeah, that there's something, you're not obviously not the sort. I always say to people, if you've got a massive Steam library and you play extensively on PC, I'm not sure Stadia is necessarily aimed directly at you. GeForce Now is right up your alley. If you're looking for a cloud gaming option, it will fit your user case, and that's the thing. And I think, you know, the same with Luna. It's much more a kind of like a library. You know, not necessarily having to have the kind of the latest releases, but just having access to a library of content, and that's the market it's going to sort of serve. And so each cloud gaming, not only will you potentially have a different experience because of the nature of the infrastructures and where you live, which is very different from playing on a box where everybody's experience will effectively be the same. So there's that to factor in. And then the fact that you know, just because they're cloud gaming, they're not all apples. You know, they're all fruit, but they're not all apples. You know, that's the way I look at it, you know. And if you don't like apples, you might like oranges. And you find the one that will fit your user case. Right. And, you know, for me, it happens to be Stadia, but I get the fact if you come from a PC gaming background with an extensive library, man, knock yourself out. GeForce is incredible. My experiences with GeForce early doors, I tried a little bit of the beta, but in the early part of the Founders, when they first launched the Founders bit, it was hit and miss. When it worked, it was really good. You know, and I'm comparing everything with Stadia. You know, I tried Xcloud at the time, and you know, it was like wasn't just quite there. It worked all right, and it was probably okay for single campaign stories, but it just didn't have the magic that Stadia had that worked for me. Now I know that Stadia doesn't always work for some people, but in my experience, it hit the sweet spot. It kind of worked really well. GeForce had moments where it was there, and I thought, oh, this is pretty good. This is really clever. And then another experience, it wouldn't. And as I said before, they managed the flow by reducing the quality of the stream in order to maintain the gameplay, and that's a decision they've made. And to me, and I think that's the right decision, but to me, that variance sometimes, it can be frustrating. But you know, I've tried it. You say try before you buy. That's the thing, and find your user case.
And I think a lot of it is GeForce Now is absolutely catered at PC gamers. They want those guys. They want those people that have giant libraries. They give away free trials every time you buy a GPU. They give you like a 6-month thing. So they're trying to get PC gamers, not console gamers, not like casual gamers.
Yeah.
The fact that they have it at 1080p still, they prefer performance over graphical settings. That's kind of another indication, because PC gamers are, at least all the ones that I know, they want like best response time and everything.
Yeah.
They know their market. I think we
They
said
do.
that early, and they just go in. And like I tell people again, try it out, test it out. Some cloud gaming service might fit your needs, some might not, right? So just test it out, see what works, and go with what works best for you. That's the beauty of it. Again, I can't state like when people just favor one, and I mean, if it works for you, great. If you try the others, but I have seen some people just like favor one, not testing the others, and just like give it all a shot. See which one works for you, and just stick to that for sure. But yeah,
I just go into the GFN stuff as well. I think some of these barriers which were there before are starting to come down with the extra logins and all that sort of carry on. There is improvements being made that way, and it is making it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Just to go back to, I recommend that everybody try all the different sort of platforms out there, because there is a world of difference.
Yeah.
And the beauty and the problem with the cloud is everybody's experience is different. I literally can go down 1 mile down the road here, and my experience is completely different, and Stadia is completely unplayable, but GeForce Now is. It's well worth checking out the different ones.
It could just be the hub that you've got in your house. Like people have much better internet than I do, but Stadia plays beautifully for me. And then I hear people going, "Oh, I've got 1 gigabit down." I'm thinking, I'm living between 50 and 70 megabits per second, which is to me is the sweet spot. Anything above that is sort of a bit wasted, other than bandwidth. And so, other than the fact, if I had a house full of people doing everything on other things, then it would be an advantage. But if I'm on my own, then anything above sort of 60 or 70, you're not really getting any extra benefit. You're just getting extra bandwidth for other people to use it in your house. But if you've got people who go, I've just changed, I know people on Twitter, and I say they've just changed their broadband supplier, offering the same sort of package, and now Stadia's unplayable for them.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you're getting the same internet speeds and stuff. So it's clearly the hub or whatever they've got is not playing friendly with, Stadia or whatever service you've got. So it varies. And that's the thing that cloud gaming's got to get around. There's an interesting blog post by one of the Stadia employees about their thoughts going into designing the controller. And just the thought processes, not less the technical aspect, but the thought processes. But them saying how they had to think about as wide as a user experience as possible. Like, what are all the different scenarios somebody might come up with? Like, their internet's not good, or the hub doesn't talk this way, or whatever. And then they've got to kind of think, well, how can we make a controller that will work with a broad sort of as number of scenarios as possible? And it's sort of, it's that kind of design process that you can't just assume that everybody has perfect internet. You know, you've got to think, okay, what if somebody's got a busy Wi-Fi, whatever, you know, how's the controller going to manage that? And that's the nature of, say, the difference between cloud gaming and gaming from a box. You know what you're getting with a box. Everybody has the same experience, you know.
Right. True. Cool. So anyone else want to add to GeForce Now news? If not, we can move to Google Stadia. Go ahead, Monkey.
Death Stranding is finally out of maintenance.
Oh,
for anyone that maybe didn't know.
True. So what does that mean? Explain to some of the people who probably don't even know what you're talking about right now.
Well, the game went into maintenance three weeks ago now, I think it was, maybe even 4. And we didn't find out until a couple of weeks ago that it was on GeForce Now's end and not the publisher's side. And they were very quiet. They just kept saying it was in maintenance. It was on their status page in maintenance. We still don't know why it was in maintenance. All we know is that the game is back up and running. I have emailed NVIDIA customer care to try and find out more, but as yet I have not heard back.
Okay. So the game was not playable. It was in maintenance, and now it is. All right. So for those of you guys who are trying to play Death Stranding, just know that you can access that and play that right now again. Cool. All right, so let's move into Stadia. And their Tuesday blog post was quite interesting. So if you've been following Stadia, you might just remember this, because something when we get the Tuesday blog post and it's not big, people are like, oh, Stadia, it's not delivering, but there tends to be a pattern. When it's small, be expecting a Thursday blog post as well, because it just seems to work that way. But let's discuss this, right? So again, Borderlands 3 free-to-play weekend is happening. Started Thursday. It's going to end Monday at 12. This is the second time this game has been a free-to-play week on Stadia, right?
The second or third?
Is it the third?
It's been at least twice. I know that.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I remember, was it last time they were? It had a really good sale price.
Yeah,
it was about 12 quid for like a premium edition or something like that. It was like, yeah, I'm having that. Like I did, I was like, that's an impulse purchase. That is.
Okay, so let's talk about this first, and then I want to get into the 2 games that came Dark Side Detective and Legend of Heroes. But let's focus on Borderlands 3 again. Third time that this has been happening. Do you think this is a good move? Do you think they should rotate the games? Are you guys happy that, again, they showcase in Borderlands 3? I'm going to go a step further and ask, why do you guys feel like they're specifically picking this game? Do you think they can't get like a license to showcase other games? Or do you think they're really trying to push this game? So I'm going to open it to the floor. Let's start with Duncan here. What's your take on Borderlands 3 free-to-play weekend on Google Stadia?
The first thing I would say, if you're going to play Borderlands 3, put it down to balance mode and get the 60 FPS. Do that. Because the 4K 30, it feels you definitely feel the 30 FPS. So that is the first thing out there. I think it's just a licensing issue. I think I don't want to say struggling, but I think there's a lack of choice really to what other games they can really put on there. Because FIFA and Madden would probably want to coincide with going free to play on all the other platforms, like what happened with Madden when that launched on Stadia. That was perfect timing for the Super Bowl weekend and all that. I'm just trying to think on the top of my head what other games could go on there on a free to play weekend, which are relatively new.
So Jay
They
was
had
saying
a Formula One, didn't they? They had Formula
they
One.
did.
Yeah,
They
they
did.
Free to
did.
play.
They did.
But that's been in pro, so it wouldn't.
They had NBA 2K.
They also did Elder Scrolls free to play, but that used to be a pro game too. So
yeah.
It's
I
yeah,
mean-
NBA. That's what I mean. There's just a lack of real choice there at this moment in time. Oh, how much?
Yeah.
they've never done Red Dead Redemption free to
I
play
was thinking
or
about that.
Doom, and both of those I think would be good to drive sales.
Right.
But I think the problem is it would have to really be a multiplayer game or a game which is going to take about 30, 40 hours to complete if it's a single player game. And I just don't think there's the broad enough range there at the moment to allow that. So they're going with Borderlands. That's going to take a long time to play, and people love playing that. And they go back to it to get their loot and stuff. I think that is more
I mean,
an issue.
yeah. I mean, put Valhalla in there, right? Again, they used Assassin's Creed Odyssey to, do the experiment with Stadia. A game like Valhalla Legions, right? I mean,
that's the thing. That's the thing. They could have done Legions a couple of weeks ago when all the other platforms had it, but Stadia
Right.
was left out. So there seems to be some weirdness going on there. I'm just trying to call this down the middle. I think the Legions one was a real missed opportunity, and I think that would have
Yeah, it
been
was.
brilliant to be on Stadia.
That was the week they did Elder Scrolls, wasn't it?
I think so.
It's like,
It
why would
was
you do
only a
Elder
couple of
Scrolls
weeks
when you
ago,
could do
yeah.
Watchdog Legions and they're doing it on every other platform?
Yeah. I think they take the opportunities where they are. I mean, it's not just their decision. The publisher decides they want to have a push, and it could be platform specific in the same way that you might say, let's do a sale on Xbox or, whatever it is. And Take-Two obviously have a marketing kind of campaign that goes in some sort of cycle that they sort of do this on the platform, whatever. It's obviously, it tends to. Yeah, that's probably why we've seen Borderlands a couple of times. It's obviously worked for them, in terms of the platform. Like,
Right.
I'm talking, say, work for the Borderlands publishers. Going, well, that worked. We got some sales relative to that platform size.
right.
Let's do it again, or even Stadia going, hey guys, would you like to do it again? And so it's a sort of it's a bit of a meeting of minds, I think, and and to a certain degree, as Duncan said. The greater choice you have in the library, obviously the greater opportunities for a meeting of minds, that Venn diagram to happen where a publisher happens to want to do a promotion and Google are thinking, yeah, that works with us. You'd think that most promotions would work for them. So I think that's more the reason. It's a bit of both. I think it's a bit of requiring the publisher to sort of be in that frame of mind, or perhaps pushing it, or Stadia approaching them directly and going, we think this would be a great idea, but as I say, I think it's a bit of both that's required for that to happen.
Yeah. I mean, it can be, again, 2K is another Take-Two game that we saw in here. So maybe they have a good relationship.
It might be
with
just
them.
their style,
Yeah, when it comes to that. But I do think it'll be good, right? If they start showcasing other titles. I mean,
it gets a good response when they do,
Yeah.
And they said they would, and they are doing. In fairness, they said they would do it, and they're doing it. I mean, this one is this is free for pro members.
Yeah.
I think obviously it's much better if they do it free for everybody,
Right.
like a promotion. It would make more sense. I think Formula One was. If I'm not, I can't guarantee that. But
No,
Here
I
you
think
go,
I'm-
Clive. Clive, everybody sit down here. I'm defending Stadia. I have absolutely no problem with it being locked behind Pro.
go.
I have zero problem because that's what the
Yep.
Xbox does.
Yeah.
I have.
well,
I
so
have
do you
no-
have a zero problem because Xbox does it? Is that your excuse? Like,
I
don't
think
find-
it's more.
It's more. It's a
Yeah.
perk. Yeah, it's a perk for
I
Stadia Pro.
get that. I see that, and so
Yes, I would agree with you. It would be better being it on free for everybody, but I have no real concern with it being locked behind Pro.
and I think you're right. I mean, I think you know, that's a good way to sell it as you say, as one of the benefits of Pro is not only you get these awesome sales, because when they do Pro sales, they're good sales. You know, like I said, when Borderlands was, you know, 12 quid, it was like, yeah, that's a great price. And I did one Doom for a while ago, was like really low. I think Doom 2016, okay, it's an older game, but that was about 9 quid in a sale recently, and it was, yeah. So when they do the Pro sales, I think it's pretty awesome. But definitely what I'd like to see is more of these weekends, but for everybody, because it showed, because you know, we've always said it, we'll say we to sound like Duncan there, and this generalizing the whole world.
Gosh.
I've already said it personally, and a few other people may have said it, that, you know, you just want people to try Stadia, and the more opportunity to do that without any kind of risk, but with a good game, the more likely you are to get it, to make it sticky, you know, for people to stick with it if it works for them, you know, because if it works for you, most people have, you know, we saw through the Cyberpunk experience, who like reluctantly decided to try Cyberpunk on Stadia because it was the only option, you know, that was available to them, were then suddenly in Reddit going, oh my God, this works. And it's like, yeah, it does. Just if only you tried it. So the more opportunity there is for people to try it without risk, and free games do that, and if they're good free games, then even better. So I expect to see more of this, and more of this outside of the locked door of Pro. You know, I think it's the best marketing they have for Stadia is definitely try before you buy sort of thing, is because people are skeptical. They always have been. But you try it, and if it works for you, you'll be pleasantly surprised. And that's what I guess they have found is the case, and they should definitely do more of it.
Sure.
I am not.
Going back to sales, did anybody realize that the Stadia Pro sales, there's only one game in there this week?
Yeah.
First time in months.
They obviously have that default text at the end of the blog post. Here are the sales, here's the process. Yeah. And I was excited, and I went to it, and it was like
Killer Queen Black.
I had to refresh the screen, just thinking, oh, it's not come through. Yeah, there's a lag, you know, in the display or something. But
I did the same thing.
Funny. Yeah, it was obviously default text at the end. You know, they have it on every. Here's some sales, and just this time it was one.
That's hilarious.
Which could be that they're gearing up for something, you know, a bigger sale down the road. So
true. So go ahead.
I was just going to go back to what Clive was saying about marketing it. This isn't me trolling. I'm putting this out here. I'm putting this disclaimer right there. Did this Borderlands streamer thing happen, where they got streamers to actually showcase?
I was going to say that, Duncan. Yeah, they were supposed to be showcasing the crowd play on the official Borderlands 3 channel.
And I'm not trolling here. I'm just asking.
I don't know. I don't know.
I was gonna bring that up as well, because I didn't hear anyone saying it. But as always, Duncan's got there first.
That's because I never shut up.
True, very true. Yeah, I'm gonna have a look for that right now and see when it's happening.
But while you do that, Jay said there's a new expansion coming, and I mean, I don't know.
Director's cut. The director's cut.
Yeah, there's a whole new version of the game coming, plus the expansion content. Yeah.
So it makes sense, right? If they're trying to push that, this would be
take two to push it. Yeah.
Right.
This is a big game, and the little shooter environment, along with your Destiny and your Division 2s, and there's a lot of them games on Stadia. So they have amassed quite a following, and I'm in a few different Discords, and everyone's talking about it because it's the latest expansion. There's more loot and legendary gear to be had, so it's only a good thing.
That's cool. That's cool. Again, this makes sense, right? Smart that they're pushing it for the free to play weekend. I wonder, like, sales wise, and how many people have purchased this game in Stadia. It seems like Take-Two and Stadia and this game have some type of relationship. So something must be going pretty well for both parties.
I think enough relative to the size of the platform. I mean, as we
Right.
know, Take Two managed. I think they had lower expectations. And you can argue whether they were right, but the CEO came out and he said, our expectations aren't that it's going to be sales are suddenly going to increase, tenfold because of cloud in 2 years' time, but we're happy to experiment with these things. So I think they went in with modest expectations, and as long as it ticks over for them, they're happy to continue that because they just want platforms to sell their games.
Right.
So if effort in and reward out, if the reward back for effort in is greater than the effort, then they will, to the certain threshold they require, they'll keep doing it. And clearly the relationship, touch wood, is working on that level. And so they're happy to do these promotions. So, which is a good sign, I think, That's not to say it's stellar, but it is probably performing within expectations for Take Two.
True. And again, I did remember reading that article about them having, I would go as far as to say, realistic expectations of sales for the games come to the Google Stadia platform, because again, it's a new platform. So, cool. All right. Anyone else? Go ahead.
Yeah, one thing that I want to add, we didn't bring up yet, that shows Stadia doesn't have to lock these games behind Pro for the free weekend, was one of the things I praised the most was Hitman Dubai Mission was not locked behind Pro. Anyone could jump in and try. It was Hitman 1 or 2 or something, and also the Dubai Mission from Hitman 3.
Yeah.
And that was a huge highlight for me because I've been begging for free weekends, free trial without being locked behind Pro, because there is a perk to having access to certain games like Borderlands 3 behind Pro, but at the same time, you want people to try the service, and they're not going to come sign up to try it. They're going to come play something for free.
And Hitman's a great showcase because you're not reliant on sort of twitchy response, because it's a single player campaign game to a certain degree, so you can adjust your kind of response accordingly. And it looks great. It looks fabulous. So it's a great game to showcase. And there's new DLC coming for Hitman 3 as well, which is great.
Yeah,
I think it was this week. Already. This week, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah, the Greed expansion.
Yeah, and that looks really, really cool. I like what they're doing with Hitman. Just release chapters like this. It's just a good, because there's so many different ways to play each chapter. That there's lots of, even though it's a single campaign sort of game, there's that replayability. Right. I'm going to kill him with I'll kill him with the rubber ducky. It's that kind of Right.
Yeah, I love seeing and they announced that expansion the same week, and they were like, "Here's the expansion's coming for Hitman 3 to Stadia, and hey, for free, you can jump in and try a mission and see if you like it playing on Stadia." I just thought that was really good. That was one of their highlights for me.
They linked that up very well.
So let's move to 2 games coming to the platform for this week. Just want to know, did this game interest anyone, and did they pick them up? So The Dark Side Detective was one of the first game against a point, click, and laugh is how they like to describe this game. And then Legend of Heroes Trials of Coastal 4, which is a Japanese RPG. Anyone pick these games up? And if so, how was the experience with it? So to get started with this, let's start with you, Ben. What are your thoughts on these games?
I was excited there were new games coming, but I didn't really look into them too much. They didn't really catch my attention. I mean, they've been adding a ton of JRPGs, which is great. I know Holtz loves that. But Dark Side Detective, when I kind of looked at it a little bit, it looked fun. Don't know if I'll check it out, but it looked fun.
Okay, fun enough, right?
Fun enough, yeah.
Okay. How about you, Jared? What's your take on these games coming to the platform?
I will always praise games coming, especially to cloud, because everybody really needs to be building the libraries and just helping more people come in. I'll give it to Trails too. Kudos to them. They're getting their games on cloud everywhere. They're really they're really making a push to make their games accessible, which is really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about Dark Side Detective. If I were going to say anything, these particular two games are a lot like a GFN kind of release, right? They're kind of like indie style. A lot of people aren't going to be really excited about them, but we're all going to say it's great to add them. Somebody's going to play them, and kudos to them for getting their games on cloud because you want more people to try them out.
True. Good. How about you, Duncan? What's your take on these games?
I can see Clive is sitting there thinking, am I going to bring it up or am I not going to bring it up?
You're going to bring it up, I know you're going to bring it up.
Does anybody know anything strange about the Dark Side Detective?
I think you mentioned this last time, but let them know again.
Dark Side Detective is meant to be a Stadia Pro game. Yeah. This was announced by Stadia and the developer a month ago, and it looks like we have to pay for it. Yeah. I think this just brings up some interesting topics, which I don't think we will get into now. But I think it needs to be pointed out that this was meant to be coming as a pro game, and it was announced as it was coming as a pro game. And this isn't somebody just making this up. This was announced by Stadia, and I just don't think that's nice, because if this was any other platform, we would be calling that out on any other platform. If we heard it was GFN was launching a game day and date and it didn't weigh in, just like we did with Hellmonkey's favorite game, Startopia. It was getting called out. If a game was announced coming to Game Pass day and date and it didn't come, we would be calling that out. And we have a game launching on Stadia, which was meant to be a pro game, and it hasn't. I think that needs to be called out.
So with this, right? I mean, we know this game's eventually going to go pro, and it's a joke that we kind of have here. It's just, in a way, wait it out a little bit, and you'll save yourself a lot of money. But yeah,
well, I mean, $11.
Yeah, true. It's not a lot, but it adds up though with multiple.
It's a principle.
Yeah.
If I'm pragmatic, so yes, you can be pragmatic about principles. It's an $11 game. It will be a pro game. It obviously missed a window. Yes, it was a bit of a fudge up, but if it was Resident Evil 7, right? And then it turned out that wasn't pro, then yeah, right? So it's relative to the size of the game and the expectation and stuff like that. There was some obviously miscommunication. I don't think anybody would kick up a fuss on other platform of this level of game. I think it's relative to the size of the game and that kind of stuff and the expectations. A lot of people kind of lost it. I'm not necessarily excusing them for, but I'm just saying it's, in terms of the ripple, it's a small ripple overall. And we will see this. I can imagine this being pro in May to coincide with the launch of the next Dark Side Detective, which is due any minute anyway. So yeah, it's an unfortunate snafu, but there you go. But I saw, so a shout out to John Scars Gaming there. I saw him playing this game. It's certainly a game of a certain type. You've got to be into that kind of game. It's that 8-bit old school style adventure game.
It's a Stadia game.
Yeah, click and point. But there's a massive appetite for that. When there's loads of Switch games and Switch guys and girls love all those sort of kind of retro type games, and you see a lot, and I've said this before, you see a lot of those type. That's what I like about Stadia, is that they bring a lot of the Switch style games, and then they also have the ability to bring the kind of your AAA console style games, like your PlayStation, Xbox style games as well. And it's kind of a nice mix, I think, in terms of the console style games, plus the occasional sort of game that's more respected on PC, like an Elder Scrolls type thing or something like that, So it's good to see, that they have that kind of good mix and that they can do that. And I think that's one of them. And in terms of the JRPGs, there is it's not everybody's cup of tea, but there's a massive, fan base for these kind of games. And I've yet to try. So which was the one? Ease 8, was it?
Yeah,
It was
Ease
the pro
8.
game. Yeah. And people are loving that on the pros. I see a really good positive response because it plays really nice. It looks really nice. So if I'm being sucked up into Outriders for so long, you know, and SpongeBob, I tried a little Pikuniku, but I still haven't started my sort of venture into those sort of well-respected JRPGs. But there's a big appetite for them. So it's great to see.
Cool.
One thing this week that impressed me with Stadia, and it's something that probably nobody else noticed. They actually admitted openly, like on their Discord, put out an announcement that they're having issues with FIFA and they are having issues with Outrider, and they are working on it. They weren't just silent. They didn't just ignore it for weeks on end. They actually came out pretty quickly and said something about it.
There was a lot of noise, so I think you're right. They did the right thing, but there was a lot of noise about those things, and so it's good that they. Because let's be honest, if you're fixing the game for different across multi-platforms, you know, you're going to go by the business segment, the size of the business in the market, aren't you? In terms of order of preference that the fix is going to get done. And, you know, we have to be honest, Stadia's not, you know, they're going to do the PlayStation version and the Xbox version before they get to the Stadia version, you know. And if it's based on the PC version, then we have to kind of wait for that and then make sure the fix is ported effectively and stuff like that. So they're going to, at the moment, they're going to be lower down the rung in terms of the fixes and the patches. But absolutely, it's good to see, because this could have been happening. And then what normally would have happened, I guess, with Stadia is you don't hear anything,
like Journey to the Savage Planet.
Yeah.
But it took almost a month to acknowledge it, and there's like, oh, it's fixed, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. So and that's, you're absolutely, that's all about managing expectations. If they'd said like 3 weeks earlier a fix is in the works, people would go, oh good, at least I know it's happening. Whereas you had this issue where people going, hey Outriders, and they've had enough on their plate anyway across all the platforms. But at least, as you say, it just, somebody at Stadia that have gone to the publishers or developers and said, can we just issue a statement saying you're looking at it? And that's just a placeholder, to be honest, until they get around to fixing it. But at least it's them managing expectations, and that's that's important when it comes to communicating effectively.
I do want to add that I read that I was so happy when Stadia came out with a statement for Outriders, because everybody was waiting for something to come out. But I will say, and this is just my own personal opinion because nobody else is probably going to agree with it here, but when I got to the end of that statement, the statement then almost meant nothing to me. It was a huge turnoff. They closed the door completely. At the end of their statement, they said, and if you have any further questions, do not ask us. You have to go to Outriders. Yeah. Well, they have enough on their plate. And no, you're hosting the game. You're Stadia. So I could tell there was frustration when they put out that statement. They didn't just do it for me. They didn't just do it for you. They were frustrated, tired of hearing it. And the fact that they had to add that sentence at the end and close the door ticked me off. And I just didn't really like their response.
True.
Did you go and stand in the corner with your arms crossed for a little while?
No, but it's just, you can't do that. You can't close the door to your consumers, to your base. In a game that big where you release the demo version and allow that on your platform, and then you close the door in your one statement you put out and said, don't ask me any more about this, but we're acknowledging it. Just didn't like that. Other than that, Stadia's been bang up for 3 weeks, but that was wrong.
I did notice that too.
I did as well. But yeah, so I'm looking at the time, and let's kick up the pace a little bit because we still have to cover Xcloud and got some news in shadow that I do want to talk about. So let's talk about these 10 games that was talked about, announced with the indie for Google Stadia, right? So just quickly touch on these, and you guys just let me know, hop on and tell me if you're interested in any one of these games. So
there's there's obviously Dark Side Detectives, Fumble in the Dark, is it? Yeah, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, right.
So we knew about that. So there was the titles that we knew because they were announced as part of the Stadia makers, or they'd come out as other things. But there's some titles that we weren't aware, certainly I wasn't aware of, on there that look really interesting. And, you know, that Google planted the seeds, and now we are seeing the trees bear fruit, as it were. And I think it's really cool. And I also think the timing is really cool because of the week they had before Easter, or the last couple of weeks before Easter, and lots of sort of, great statements, lots of game announcements, all of the Resident Evil stuff, the JRPGs, it just kept coming. And there's like 37 games already sort of this year been announced or something like that already. And it would have been easy for them to have a quieter week, which I would have expected, because you can't keep up that level of pace. But I know what, people, once the hype train's off, it's hard to then sort of say, now we're back to, business as normal. And it will just be, having said that, it's games every week, games coming out all the time. So this is great. This is a great kind of link from the previous, good, strong week to another positive week, but with a slightly different feel to it. That all these games might not be, I can't see myself doing the wine game. I wasn't a fan of Farming Simulator, so it's that kind of, but there's some really interesting things in there. And it's good to see Sky Climbers when you follow the story of that. That's just really exciting, I think, to sort of, see that. I hope it lives up to expectations. That's always the risk with those sort of things. But some exciting, interesting things. That's what indies bring. And you never know what, one of them might be the next Among Us,
Yeah, true. Again, exciting stuff. Go ahead. Someone's going to hop on here.
Oh, I'll hop on. The only one that really interested me was Jay and Silent Bob. From these ones, to be absolutely fair, what I'm hoping what we'll get next week is we get some older AAA sort of games if they're just looking to fill out their library, because I think we just need a bit more of these. Some of your mainstays, chucking a Civilization, chucking a BioShock, chucking whatever you can think of, even that. That's Jane sort of stuff. A couple of big hitters. I think Stadia will be cooking. I think we do just need a bit more of this mixed up a bit. It was great seeing the JRPGs, but I think we need something more mainstream AAA games, even if they're older ones.
I think now you'll find I just think last year, I think that was much more the case. I think this year, with their concentration will be ensuring it's the upcoming AAA games. I mean, I get where you're coming, but I would put my efforts, if I had to divert my time and efforts, it would be into ensuring the upcoming AAA games are coming to the platform day and date, which so far they seem to be doing, and it's good to see. Plus, if you look at the release schedule of April, there's stuff going on every week. In terms of game releases, there was the games this week released, and then we've got Judgment in a week and a half. Some other games, I think, before that. It's busy. But just as long as they can keep that drip feed of games coming as they have done in the last 3 or 4 weeks, I think it's all good. And stuff like this is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I think overall this was good. Again, tell people if Tuesday's weak, be expecting something Thursday or Friday.
In fairness, Tuesday was the day after, Easter, Monday. So I'll let them off.
True. But yeah, overall, again, I'm not that big on indies, but lately I've been, becoming really attracted to them because they're not the traditional, right, 8-bit. I mean, look at this game. It looks incredible. Look at
there's a real claymation. There's a real claymation element going on there, that like really stop frame style animation. It looks really cool, really clever, like that thing there.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty cool.
I used to complain about Stadia bringing so many indies. It's not the indies necessarily; it's the platformers. It's just so many like 8-bit platformer type stuff, games that can be played on your mobile device, and they just. Now they're finally starting to bring more actual good indies.
Yeah. No, this looks good. And again, shout outs to them for realizing the importance of indies. Again, not a big fan, but I know what it can do to push a platform forward like the Nintendo Switch, right? So I think this is overall really good for them.
Well, Xbox,
go
so
ahead.
Xbox had an indie showcase a couple of weeks
did.
ago, didn't they?
Yep,
And
that
everyone
was-
going,
that
that
was-
was
Don't
cool.
bring
That was
that up.
mad.
bring
3-hour
that up.
We
event.
don't mention that. We don't.
All right, sorry.
Hell Monkey's still recovering from that.
It was a 3-hour event. It was
Oh yeah,
nuts,
yeah, it
man.
was long. Yeah,
Insane. Cool.
Yeah,
What I
I-
really like about this list of 10 is, as a pro member, I'm seeing a lot of really cool games I'm going to be able to try with my pro subscription in the future. And that is not a downer. That is a good thing. I'm
No,
saying
no,
if
I
you're-
agree.
Yeah.
if you can
No,
support
true.
and buy these games day one,
Sure.
do it. But if you're a pro member and you can wait, I see some really cool games I want to be able to try out, and I know they're going to hit pro.
Oh yeah, it's probably part of the part of the deal of
Yeah.
them backing it is that at some time the game could be made available, for pro. So that's a sort
Absolutely.
of quid pro quo for them investing in grassroots along with Unity to get these games, get these developers off the ground. So yeah, definitely. So when you look at it from that lens, to use Chase's phrase, it makes it even more promising if you're a pro member, because you think, oh, I'll get to try these games. I've already bought Sky Climbers though. So.
Yeah. Same.
Looks good. Yeah,
Same.
looks
The
good.
game looks incredible.
I think
Cool,
it looks
cool.
the biggest load of nonsense to go on.
So here's my thing.
Duncan, you still want to play the
Actually-
tax evasion turnip boy game from last week?
Yeah,
least
that's
at least
true.
that-
You get
At least that's got some action in it.
no. This game though, seriously, it's like, what the hell is this game gonna be? Like, I'm seeing some Breath of the Wild feel. I'm seeing some Horizon Zero Dawn feel. I'm seeing some like RTS. Like Total Rome. It's like they're trying to.
That's my
mix
fear.
I mean, look at this.
Yeah,
Like,
my fear for the game is they try to be too many. You often see that their ambition, the expectation might not meet their ambition, I think, and that's my concern with this. And I'd rather they narrowed the scope for a better game than try to be all things to all people
right.
and miss the target, if you sort of mean. I mean, they might pull it off but they're very. There's only like two of them, behind it, and they're quite protective of the bits that they work on, which it's good to, but it worries me slightly, because you need to be able to let go to have the faith in other people to come in and build that out.
Right.
And deliver a game on the ambition that they keep saying. Because every so often I see a post from them going, oh, we're adding this element in or this element. And I'm just thinking, I feel the ambition may be too big.
Yeah.
Just bring it back a bit, I think,
I just
Go
want
ahead.
to say one more tiny thing about that. I watched the gameplay footage of it, and it just bored me to tears watching it. I was going, what is going on here? This just looks
it looked
real.
like an early demo level, like when you go to sometimes you might make a pitch level for a publisher, and you take it and you go, this is to give you an idea. We've sort of built out this level just to give you an idea of what it might look like. And they're at that pre-alpha stage, and it looks like a pre-alpha, to be honest.
So I hope they learn from No Man's Skies, right? Don't overpromise and not be
bang
able
on.
to, know. So, but yeah, I think personally the game looks quite interesting. So let's wait and see. But we got 15 minutes left, so let's push to Xcloud news, our Game Pass game streaming, or whatever the hell they call this platform these days. But GTA 5 is the biggest news coming to Game Pass, which again was a game that was on there previously, then it left. They got Red Dead Redemption 2 that left, and now it's back. Just open this up to the panel. What's the and again, Army? What's the other game that came to the platform?
Zombie Army 4.
Zombie Army 4 was another one. Again,
And NHL 21,
yeah.
which
So
that's what I was
yeah.
excited for.
Yeah, some good games here, but I'll open up to you guys. Anyone jump in for the sake of time.
GTA 5 it's also on cloud. That's the fundamental
Yeah.
difference, isn't
Right.
it? Yeah, that
It wasn't previously.
that is
true.
yeah, that is massive. The annoying thing about it, that's one of the examples of the X Pass where games roll out, because I had it I played it for a while, and then I remember a few months later, my daughter, because her boyfriend was in playing it, and she said, "All right, I'll play it with you," and came down and said, "Dad, have we got GTA 5?" And I said, yeah, it was on Games Pass. And then we fired it up, and of course, it wasn't there anymore. So that kind of indicated that annoyance of games falling out of Games Pass. But I think it's not really just this is massive, to be honest, because it's not about GTA 5 coming to Games Pass. It's about it being available in the cloud. It's a big game to have available on your cloud, your supplementary cloud service, which is what this Xbox is. So I think that is but I've come to expect it from Xbox. The kind of moves and stuff they're doing now is like, they're not mucking about, are they?
Right. I would say at this point, Xbox they're just the bullies on the block, right? They know what people want, they see what people want, and they really try to make it happen.
They're the lovable bullies, though.
Yeah,
the charming ones.
Yeah, if you love Xbox, then you love Phil Spencer, and you love what they're doing. But for other people, though, it's like this is they know what two games that people request highly on, like, for Stadia, GeForce Now, is this game and Call of Duty, and so the fact that they have this tells me that they're probably trying to get Call of Duty on Game Pass, but. Again, I know Sony and Activision has some exclusive to Call of Duty going on, so it's going to be quite interesting to see. But just open this up to the panel. What's your take on this move right here? Again, GTA 5, we're seeing Zombie Army 4. Disney, I'm really excited for these Disney games, man. Like my kiddos
Rush.
are...
My daughter had fun playing Rush.
Yeah.
It's great for kids.
Right, but yeah, just open it up. Anyone can just hop on. What's your take on these games coming?
I think the aspiration, and I've mentioned this before, is that they're in that kind of weird space at the moment where, in an ideal world, every game they get is playable across every platform that they operate on. But because cloud gaming in particular is in its early stage, and this whole kind of multi-platform approach is in its early stages, developers and publishers are still at that kind of slight, well, I'm not sure quite yet, and and stuff like that, and they have to catch up with the way they have to catch up with Xbox kind of aspirations in terms of basically what Xbox want is every game they get you can play on Ultimate Games Pass on every platform. That's all they want, because that's going to be their central strategy going forward. It's like, we've heard this before, but play the games on the devices you want. Play the games where you want to play. That's what they want. And at the moment, they're in that weird land where, and it's a bit confusing to consumer from my point of view, where some games so this, it's available on Games Pass, but only on console. Or it's available on Games Pass, but this one's this one's just on PC. Oh, this one's on console and cloud, and it's like you have to sort of go and check. Oh, which is which? Are they all on? And I think I can see a certain frustration on their part. They'd love to be able to just say it's everywhere. Play it where you want.
Yeah, in time, when the Series X Blade becomes a thing in the cloud, maybe that will be the reality of this situation, right?
That's where they're building to. That's what they're building to.
Yeah. Just to go on to Clive's point here, if you actually go through them games, you would see the majority of them are going on to cloud, which there is definitely a big focus on getting these games onto Xcloud. There's just the notable ones now.
I think they're only doing they're probably only doing deals on the basis that it's available on Xcloud.
Right.
Rush was already on Game Pass, and they just added it to cloud this week.
Yeah, that's absolutely. I think it's like I work in television, and you want it available on you want the program available on the SVOD platform as a sort of So we're a broadcast channel, but we have to have it on the SVOD channels. There's no question about it. So and so I see parallels with something like Xbox, where you're not going to do the deal if you can't if it's not on. Now going forward, that would be their strategy. It has to be on cloud, full stop. Otherwise we won't do the deal, because it's not worth it. The expectation of the consumer will slowly grow to where they'll expect it on the cloud. So you have to have the game on the cloud, and that is clearly the strategy, and they're doing a really good job at building that out. There's no arguing about what the library.
Yeah, they definitely have a pretty strong library. Anyone else want to add to this news?
I think the work that Xbox and Microsoft are putting into not just Game Pass, but in cloud and Xcloud, which we'll probably always freaking call it that, are really paving the way for all cloud gaming, kind of like Stadia started doing as well in the beginning, because they're going to be pushing, like Clive's saying, they're going to push these developers to make deals where your game comes to Game Pass, including cloud. And as they push and push and push for that, it will make it easier for other companies to be able to do the same thing. So I think having them in the forefront, it'll
be the de facto
important
business position, as you say, across the whole of business. It's just there's always that reluctance.
Yes.
When companies are unsure of the business model, until this. So you saw it with music, you saw it with film and TV, but once they become comfortable. So, for instance, one of the things in TV is, we'll lose value in our DVD sales. Well, what inevitably happened is the DVD sales dropped. Plus, if you take something like Friends, you'd think that'd been rinsed to death, but it's had a whole new lease of life, which has kind of increased and promoted the brand. The biggest selling game on Xbox this week is Outriders, and part of that is driven round the noise of having Outriders as part of Games Pass. So what publishers will begin to realize is that there is an advantage, for instance, of being part of Game Pass or being part of Stadia Pro in the future, or maybe being a game, because it creates, if the platform's big enough, it will create a buzz, which increases the profile of the number of players. So if you're selling loot boxes or whatever, that's great, or DLC, but it helps create an extra buzz, and that makes the title, people talk about the title, and then people who don't perhaps have Game Pass say, well, everybody's talking about it, or my mates are playing it, I'll go and buy it. So, but it takes a while for sometimes publishers and stuff to see that there is this kind of weird benefit of allowing a game to be free for a while on some kind of platform.
True. Anyone else want to add to that before we move forward to Shadow News? I have some stuff to say if anyone else done.
Go on, Dennis.
All right. So I think, again, I can't stress this enough about it being a bullish move. And I think, Microsoft's doing a good job just listening to what the consumers are wanting. In a way, I think they know, right? Phil Spencer and the Xbox team, I think they do a good job. They probably learned, sorry, I keep jumping from, but I think they learned from the launch of the Xbox One X, right? It's not about what Microsoft thinks is best, right? Again, Sony struggled with that with the launch of the PS3. They wanted to push the cell processor chip. They wanted to push Blu-ray, and they thought they knew what was best, and they learned that mistake. Microsoft repeated that mistake with the launch of the Xbox One X and One S, right? But I feel like now they're open to what the consumers are wanting. And these moves, they knew what getting Outriders on day one would mean. They know what GTA 5 on the cloud. They just didn't get it on consoles or PC. They got it on cloud. They knew what that meant going against stuff like Google Stadia or GeForce Now, right? They know that's a very highly requested game. So I just have to say kudos to Microsoft for definitely being, I don't think it's fair and great for the consumers, but for the Xbox brand, they're killing it, and they bring in value to the Xbox customers. So I do have to say this is brilliant. And what is surprising about this is that they announced this news on Monday, and the game released on Thursday. right? So who knows what other games they have coming to Game Pass that they're just sitting on, or they're working towards bringing to the platform. That I think there's a lot of noise and a lot of movement happening for Game Pass behind the
Did you
scenes that we not even seen. But go ahead.
did you hear about the going to Steam? Is the big one?
Wait, say it again. What, going to Steam?
Yes, you heard that right. Game Pass going to Steam.
Yeah, I saw that too. How big would that be, right? That'll be freaking massive, I must say. But again, behind the scenes, I think there's a lot going on for Game Pass. And it's pretty cool. So from that article stated that Steam is actually trying to get them, right? It wasn't the other way around. I think people are seeing the value of Game Pass, and again, Outriders coming, the play base numbers, right? People are seeing the value, and I think people are actually approaching Microsoft saying, "Hey, can we get on here?" Which for a company, that is brilliant, right? That's what you want. Instead of you trying to sell your product, people are coming to you saying, "Hey, can we get that in?" You see that with Netflix, right? Any DVD player, they're trying to get Netflix. Nintendo Switch, that was a big thing when it released. Hey, when is Netflix coming to Switch? That's a good problem to have for a company, and I feel like Microsoft's positioned themselves in a great place right now with Game Pass. So,
Do you think this is a bit of reverse psychology where they kind of like pressured Steam into asking them to be on there to put pressure on GeForce Now, since they have that partnership with Steam?
That's a good question.
If anybody could pull that off, it would be Microsoft. But it's just the strategic move that would be involved with doing that.
That is pretty brilliant to think of, actually. Possibly. But yeah. But no. Good stuff. Anyone I'll be thinking about that one, Ben. But anyone else have anything else to add to this, man? This is crazy news right now.
Yeah, competition is good, isn't it? That's all.
It is. It's great.
They're setting. They set the benchmark high, and others have to follow.
Yeah. So let's hop onto Shadow. Now, I'll just be 100% honest with you guys. I was actually trying to cheat while y'all were talking to kind of read up on what's going on with this platform. Mark put out an excellent video, started watching it, and my daughter interrupted me, so I didn't finish it. But if you want the full breakdown on what the hell is going on with Shadow right now, check out Mark's video. But I'm gonna quickly just go over this. So from what I'm seeing here, they got 4 offers, right? And it's been reduced to 2. And maybe Jerry, if you know more about this, hop on, because again, trying to just update myself with it right now. But from what I'm hearing, there hasn't been an official decision made yet, but it seems like they're sitting on 2 offers right now. And it seems like if they accept this, that things are kind of gonna remain the same, with them pushing gaming through Shadow still. Again, this is new news, still trying to figure it out. But Jerry, if you know more about this, hop on.
Again, Mark's video is absolutely fantastic. That's where I gained a lot of my information as well, on top of trying to read up on articles. He was also great and sent us the English translated articles that we could read. I don't know if he's watching, but thank you, Mark, because he really was on it today with Shadow.
Yeah.
And yeah, it does seem like there's some hope. There's a glimmer of hope. There's a couple of offers, but they weren't able to make like the deadline of like a for sure, like midnight Thursday, like this is the company that's going to purchase. But it does look like if either one of them do purchase Shadow, it has life ahead of it. It could continue as is, get absorbed, hopefully get moving on upgrades faster, and that type of thing. I did hear something like they need over 800,000 subscribers to be profitable, and there's a lot of numbers being thrown around to try to figure these things out, but it's more hopeful than it was a week or two ago, for sure. But anything can fall through and anything can happen. So I don't like the whole we don't know yet and the deadline's passed. So I'm taking a lot of this with a grain of salt, to be honest.
Yeah. True.
I don't want to jump up and down and celebrate that Shadow's not going anywhere yet, because
Yeah.
we just don't know. There's still a lot of moving parts, but at least it does seem positive for people.
Yeah.
It
Like I
seems
said, a lot of people
hopeful.
make their living off of Shadow.
Sure.
I would hate to see this go. It's one of the best virtual PCs you can access.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Ben, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say it just seems not to be like overly optimistic, like Mark is saying, or not Mark, like Jerry is saying, but it seems hopeful.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It does. Again, though, like Jerry was saying, though, the fact that they passed the deadline and haven't made a decision yet is kind of, I get it, just two people, that they're looking at. But when you set a deadline and deadline comes and nothing's happened, to me, I get a little concerned. But I did want to check in with Duncan, though, and see what are your thoughts with this, sir? Any?
I'm just going to sit back and see what happens. I'm still worried about, because this is still all up in the air, and this could just go like that. I think we just have to suck it and see. We just have to see what it's going to. But it looks like it's going to be coming to a conclusion pretty soon, one way or the other, which is probably better. Instead of just hanging on and just waiting and waiting and waiting.
Good to hear.
I'm
How about
also
you,
hearing that, like, I'm sorry, that like
Go ahead.
the bidding could be separate for the US and the EU and stuff. So like it may not even exist in certain areas the same way. Another huge concern that it could get fragmented or shut down in certain parts and not others.
Interesting.
I'm generally an optimist, generally, but when I saw they had bankruptcy troubles, I was very pessimistic, just from experience in business and stuff like that. That it wasn't just. It struck me it wasn't just a simple case of, oh, it's a financial restructure in that kind of way that Americans do it. Chapter 11 is almost just part and parcel of business processes, you find in the US and stuff a lot of the times. So but I wasn't that optimistic. And when, as you say, when deadlines are missed, I think they're trying to put a good gloss on it, but there are too many variables at stake.
Right.
And it only takes one of those variables to fall through, and the whole house of cards collapses. Just from a business point of view, that's why every piece needs to be in place for it to be, for a deal to be successful. And if it didn't work before, and it may not have worked before because there wasn't enough cash or investment, generally, I love what, the concept, what Shadow did. I admired them, when I had, Shadow a long time ago, there's this sort of smallish French company doing what was something quite powerful, when I played Sea, I was a massive Sea of Thieves fan. I still am a little bit. But when I played Sea of Thieves on PC on Shadow, whacked up to the max, it was like, oh my God, this really works. I had a few intermittent issues and with audio and stuff like that, but when it worked, it was really amazing. But then I also do editing, and that's a great thing. I tried editing, and it was like, wow, because I had a rubbishy sort of laptop. But when I was using this kind of full-blown PC, and that's what people forget, it's not it's not just about gaming, it's about this PC. And if you're a content creator, really, really powerful. So I admired them for what they were doing, because it was really good, smooth technology, especially the app and the way it all operated. Loved it. But yeah, I've had my concerns since they announced the problems. And whilst it's good to say that that they're trying to keep people informed, which is always good, there are a lot of variables that are at risk. So I would remain on the pessimistic side of the line.
True. I am looking at the time. My wife just came in here and she was just like, "What are you doing?" Anyway, But man, great discussion. And again, check out Mark's video if you guys were curious and had questions about Shadow. He did a great, it's an 8-minute video, very descriptive, and he knows a lot about what's Shadow. So it'll be a good take on what's going on. But good to have you, Clive. Just let's give the members a chance to plug the channels and let you guys know where you can find them. So to get started, Duncan, what do you do? Where can people find you?
I am over at Creative Games. I am going to plug this. We are doing the Stadia Grand Prix next weekend. There is still time to run the Hell Monkey off the road. Are you taking part, Hell Monkey? No, he's not really taking now. You can't even run that agent off the road. But if you want to take part, this is a full GP Grand Prix taking place next week. If you want to shout out to myself or Sammy in the cloud, it is on Stadia, and you never know what will happen during it. I think there's maybe 1 or 2 spots left. So if you're interested, jump onto that.
Cool. How about you, Jared? What do you do? Where can people find you, sir?
I want to know how Ace keeps finding the content creators I follow and then getting them on the podcast so I can meet them, because it's freaking awesome. So having Clive here was great, because I followed him for a while, and again I got to meet somebody awesome that I follow. So anyway, Game Tech Planet on YouTube and Twitter, as always. Console, cloud, PC, having a lot of fun over there.
Cool. Ben, sir, what do you do and where can people find you?
I'm just a cloud gaming enthusiast. You can find me on Discord or on Twitter. I'm always resharing Duncan stuff, even if it gets him in trouble. I typically dodge it.
Cool. And then Clive, sir, what do you do and where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube, Clive Illenden. There's a spell in there. And on my Twitter, at Twitter and Clive Illenden. And then you can find my alter ego, Lord Kensal, on Lord Kensal of Stadia YouTube channel. He streams every Tuesday night. But I'll probably sub to him, but don't watch him. But watch me on Stadia Monday Night Chat every Monday.
Guys, again, if you guys haven't watched that Monday night show, do. I mean, I am so impressed by the amount of work that you put towards making that show possible. Good stuff. Highly would recommend it. Great to have you on here, Clive.
It's been great.
Again, yeah, I love the discussion. Sorry about that. My kiddo's about to break my door down. But Hell Monkey, do you just want to give oh my goodness, do you want to give a shout out?
Yeah, guys, you'll just find me on here, bringing you all the latest news and info. And yeah, just echo what Jerry says. It's an amazing, to be on the same show as this guy here. His show's amazing.
Thank you.
All right, fellas, I gotta get going. My kiddo's literally here. Look at this kid. Oh my goodness. All right, fellas, appreciate it.
Hello.
All right, okay. All right. It was his birthday yesterday. He got a toy gun. All right, fellas, we'll catch you guys next show. We'll see you guys next Saturday at 2 p.m. Clive, as always, great to have you, man. And we'll see you guys next week. Say bye.
Bye.
All right, bye, y'all.